3 in a row, guys. Welcome, welcome back to Friday morning live stream. Your host, Andy Kaysen here, live on the Football Card Quest. Drop your questions live in the chat. We'll chop it up. I've got some questions teed up, ready to go. I see VH Beach Collectibles in the house out there. We're going to chop up some analysis, look at some latest trends around the football cards, look at some of the key matchups this weekend, and address any other questions. A few highlights. Let's talk about some 2018 product, talk about some trade rumors, talk about when's the best time to sell a card at a loss. Also, how do you best market low-end, lower hype cards? All right, I'm going to try and stop tilting about last night's matchup, and let's dig in. Morning, Chad Dyer. What's up? Good morning. Morning, VA. Yeah, so last night's matchup, Bucks lose to the Ravens. It was weird, man. I was tilting because I hit most of my 3-leg parlay. I hit my second half 3-leg parlay on Underdog Fantasy, but the full game parlays, the 3-leg parlays, I missed both of them by one. And which portion of that was it? It was Lamar Jackson's rushing. He didn't hardly rush the ball at all in the first half, only for him to go out and have 7 rushing attempts and get me pretty close. He got 43 rushing yards. He had that one nice run, and then I think one more like 10-yard run, and then another one that would have got it really close, but it got called back due to a holding. And ultimately, Gus Edwards ran all over us. I had another slip with Mark Andrews over, and he got hurt early in the game. I'd say the one spotlight from the game, the one that could have like the most ripple effects of the card market, is probably some increased demand this morning for Isaiah Likely, the rookie from Coastal Carolina. I mean, it's pretty clear that if there's no Mark Andrews, like Isaiah Likely is a real asset to that team. He's a guy that has a pretty big ceiling. He's a good tight end, man. So I think that, you could see from the moment that Mark Andrews left to the final onside kick that Isaiah Likely recovered, he was a big component of that team. And so I would say that's the one guy that's probably seeing some increased demand this morning. Obviously, you're not going to see too much of any increased demand for any of the Buccaneer players. You did have, a decent game from Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Tom Brady still threw the ball like almost 50 times. So we hit the over on Brady's passing yards, his passing attempts. We hit the over on Mike Evans' receiving yards, Chris Godwin's receiving yards. We even hit the over on Rachaad White's second half rushing yards of like 10.5. That was one that I thought we were going to kind of control the pace a little bit more, but our defense, man, I know we're missing some players in our secondary, but Devin White had a terrible night. Was constantly missing the play, and it just, the secondary played pretty decent in the first half when they were throwing the ball a lot, but they got the run game going and those RPOs going in the second half and just gashed us up, man. We could not stop it. So what's going on, Derek, Richard? How you doing, man? I know, man. I was tilting so hard because Lamar was not rushing at all, and he literally has hit the over on that prop virtually every single week this year. And the week that he missed, he had 58, 59 rushing yards. So he missed it by 2 yards. And I was like, there's no way. I felt really good about all the other lines. And then, of course, Lamar just doesn't run the ball at all the first half. And then the second half, like, he had a couple runs and so close. Yeah, Rachaad White's another guy that you could see he had a couple nice runs there. I like Rachaad White. He is definitely a shiftier, more explosive rookie. Leonard Fournette is definitely he's lost a step, man. He's lost a step. I mean, he had a decent night last night, but you guys got to admit, Leonard Fournette has definitely lost a step. Oh man, Joseph, yeah. I had Mark Andrews over on a slip trying to hedge my bets. I had Andrews over on a slip. I had Andrews just on the one slip because it makes sense anytime Lamar's playing, but that injury knocked him out. But overall, the process was good. And I have seen that whenever I'm looking at the 3-leg parlays, that this is my highest chance of hitting. I love these 3-leg parlays because you see I hit the second half one. The other thing I'll tell you guys is they put up second half props immediately once halftime hits, but some of them are incorrect. They put up wrong props and they quickly adjust the line like 30 seconds later, or it disappears. But you can potentially get a bet in before they disappear. Like I had another slip in that was even better on Mike Evans and Brady's yardage and Gus Edwards. And I tried to get it in. It had already disappeared. I wasn't quite quick enough because I was trying to get cute and string a bunch of picks together. But yeah, man. So I'm gonna do some more. Obviously, this is my bread and butter. These 3-leg parlays. So I'm gonna really focus on these 3-leg parlays for this weekend. And of course, I post up all my strategy, my thoughts, and my final thoughts around that in the Discord above and beyond what we can cover here. So yeah, check it out or patreon.com/football cards. Yeah, I never even got still tilting off from last night's matchup, and now third loss in a row for the Bucks, and now our defense just looks bad, man. Looks bad. I wanted to look up 2022 Isaiah Likely and look at the sold items and see what kind of demand we're seeing for him after last night. Yeah, see, I think this is pretty cool because you're definitely seeing the buy it now, sold transactions, right? I mean, this is today too, unless it was after midnight. But like you look at these are from this morning. The Legacy, Auto, the Luminance, the Prestige, the Elite. There's a Score, Sticker Auto, and that's how you know that the demand has definitely popped for him after last night. Gold Standard Auto at a 199. So let's look at what sets are best selling right now. So if you pop over to blowoutcards.com, you can actually go to bestsellers from their homepage. You can actually type in or just click on bestsellers and it'll show you, updated hourly what people are buying the most. And a lot of times you can find deals this way. Like there's a 2014 Top Strata football hobby box that has 3 hits per box. That actually says this is their best seller right now. And so it's probably, a big sale. 18 packs per box, 6 cards per pack. I'm trying to see what the hits are. 1 clear-cut autograph relic rookie per box, 1 autograph card, and 1 relic card per box. So it's interesting because a 2014 draft class is pretty deep, man, with Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, Derek Carr in that draft class, Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Brandon Cooks. So Brandon Cooks is one of the guys that's being rumored right now to be on the trade block. And the Chiefs pick up Kadarius Tony. So I'm constantly getting, like, this is my Kadarius Tony gold out of 5 right here. I'm constantly getting offers on this card. And it always I guess it doesn't shock me anymore, right? At first, I was surprised to see that, the price spike from a player being traded a lot of times is higher than what the actual price spike is when they when they actually take the field with that new team. And so we talked about this last Friday with Christian McCaffrey, and now I think we're seeing it again with Kadarius Tony, and it's just like where is he going to fit into this Chiefs offense? Is he going to be like 3rd or 4th on the pecking order? I mean, even when the guy is healthy, it doesn't, just because he changed team doesn't stop him from being a knucklehead and getting hurt a lot. And who knows if he'll actually even learn this playbook. I could see if I can see him actually having a decent spike game at some point down the stretch, and that's like really what you're hoping for here. But he's not going to command more targets than a Juju Smith-Schuster, certainly not Travis Kelce. I think he's going to slot somewhere in there behind Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Mecole Hardman type of depth chart range. Maybe he gets ahead of Sky Moore on the depth chart just because Sky Moore is a rookie. Maybe Justin Watson, something like that. But yeah, people are buying Kadarius Tony cards right now like crazy. So that just presents an opportunity for you to make some really nice sales. And I've got that one listed for 95 and I had an offer for 75. I counted for 85 and the guy hasn't responded. I would honestly take the 75. Sometimes, it just makes sense to accept the offer. I only paid $35 for that card in auction closer towards the beginning of the season when he was injured. That was like an auction ending on like Thursday mid-morning at some time. So, hey, I think he's grabbing depth at receiver for a long season run. Absolutely. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is making a clear MVP, run this year, clear playoff run. I mean, so I want to see what the latest sales are on Kadarius Tony, kind of give you guys an idea because there is still a lot of 2021 product on the market, right? I mean, the Select Optic Prism still very big, but you look, I mean, here's an XR Gold out of 10 RPA. That's 150. I got to go to sold transactions. Definitely always smart to go to sold transactions. Give you guys the best kind of idea of what the market is doing for any specific card. Yeah, and he went to the Gators, so there's definitely demand there for some of the Gators cards that are more rare, even though he didn't do much there at all. Here's a Mosaic Gold out of 10. Best offer accepted from 149, so it was somewhere over 100, I guarantee you that. So yeah, you can see all the buy it now solds once again, clearly showing that there has been a massive increase in demand based on the team change. So yeah, these people are hoping for the spike game, but something like this 1 out of 25 SGC 9 out of 10. It'd be interesting to see what the offer was accepted at, but I don't see a lot of upside in that card. Especially if they paid like closer to 200 for it. Not a lot of upside in that card. Otherwise, the prices are still relatively low. His prices got so low during, the past 2 months based on his injury and just absolutely no production that, they're really just kind of selling out at that lower price tier. You can see that the more base cards are selling out for just a couple dollars. There's some graded stuff with autographs and, selling out for where they should be, right? But nothing is really kind of elevated above what it should be based on the scarcity, right? Little small reaches, right? Optic Hollow, $3.99. Let's see. Let's not forget about Kelvin Benjamin. Derek. Oh, wasn't Kelvin Benjamin drafted in the 4th round, Derek? No, Tony's not a thing, Joseph. I mean, you're just stashing him, hoping you get a spike game for him down the stretch. I mean, it's really what it comes down to. Tony Lukin, what's good, man? When will Prism and Optic come out for this year's draft class? Wow. So based on the release schedule, I mean, if you look, let's see if we have any type of idea. So another resource another distribution website I think is one of the best in our industry besides blowoutcards.com, which, they pop up with deals routinely, is Steel City Collectibles. So I love to come over here to Steel City Collectibles because they have a very up-to-date release schedule. They're updating this thing every single day. These guys do a great job. And so I'll come over here and then just look at the release schedule. And if you type in just football, like do a Control F on your keyboard and type in football, you can see 2022 Origins is coming out November 2nd. So that's next week. You just had 2022 select draft picks come out today. So I saw that on Blowout Cards, and I think that's a product that's going to pick up steam. You can see the certified has already overtaken score. So this is kind of why when I talked about score, it should have been a quick flip because you have these other sets coming out like select draft picks, college uniforms, but it's going to have RC shields. It's going to have, those pro NFL designs. It's going to have a nice card stock as well. So score is that very thin base paper card stock. Select draft picks is going to be a nice card. Also certified. Virtually every card in this hobby box is serial numbered, a ton of serial numbered cards, and it's hobby only. And this is not a bad, so 50 cards, and you get one freshman fabric mirror signatures or piece of the game signature, one additional autograph, 2 mem cards, 10 inserts, 2 rookies or rookie parallels, 3 numbered parallels. So pretty decent hit rate in the hobby boxes, and it's all rookies and it's all pro uniforms. So this card you can see has taken over the 2022 market in terms of the most popular current purchase, but Origins is going to be very popular. I'll be interested to see what the artistic proofs look like on this. Let's see if we can get a look at what the artistic proofs look like. All right, so 7 cards per pack, 1 pack per box. Oh man, so it's one of those, and Origins are very thick. So it's $325 for 1 pack of 7 cards. And you're going to get 1 jumbo rookie jersey autograph, 1 other autograph, 1 memorabilia, 2 base rookies, rookie variation, 2 base parallels. So at least you're getting 1 autograph. I guess if you could potentially still, so Mac Jones, this is very relevant. Mac Jones has been named the starter for this weekend. So, like the Bailey Zappi mania could already be to an end, and that was the most wildest ride for a Monday night game. That was wild, man. That was so exciting and fun to watch the Bailey Zappi auctions end for an insanely high price at halftime, only for them to come back down to earth by the end of the game after all those deflected passes and the 2 interceptions and them get blown out by the Bears. And now, at this point in the week, Mac Jones is named the starter. And I think it sounds pretty Bill Belichick-like. But look at the artistic backgrounds on these 2022 Origins. So I guess my thought is that Kenny Pickett is struggling. Bailey Zappi is already struggling, probably already lost his starting job. You do have a potential Desmond Ridder sighting very soon. You also have a potential Sam Howell on the Commanders sighting very soon. You also have a potential Malik Willis sighting. And I think Malik Willis has like a Lamar Jackson type of upside. He's an incredible runner, maybe not so good passing the ball, but he could develop. He's got a strong arm. Those are all guys right there in the 2022 draft class that can definitely help, and it's so sad to see Breece Hall tear his ACL, but you got Kenneth Walker, who's totally bursting on the scene. Dameon Pierce looks great. Chris Olave looks great. You've got some really good-looking skill position players coming out of the 2022 class. You could easily pull a card that would pay off the value, but just like any sealed wax, it's always a gamble, man. It's always a gamble. There's got to be a high entertainment value for you in the product because just overall over the odds of ripping an entire case, let's say, of 12 to 16 hobby boxes, I'm sure that you probably have a decent chance of breaking even, but you could also, like, the floor is pretty low. I think the floor is pretty low. Ceiling could be pretty high though too. A lot of volatility, a lot of variance there. Some nice looking cards in Origin, man. It's going to be popular. So there's that's coming out next week. And I think the question was Prism and Optic. And I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that, Tony. My whole point of going through this is to see if they have a release date for Donruss, because that kind of dictates the release dates for the rest of those sets, because that's a major release. So Flawless Collegiate, when is that? Flawless Collegiate, November 23rd. Origins International. All right, so let's keep going down here. Super Break, Pro Metal, Leaf Draft, still some more Leaf products. Prism Collegiate, now December 2nd. So that one's been pushed back all season long. now December 2nd. I've actually got a hobby box of that coming, and that's actually a giveaway, and it's still coming December 2nd. So absolute. There you go. So the new kabooms, that'll be a popular product when it first comes out. People definitely be buying the seal wax, trying to chase those kabooms and some of the more rare absolute autograph cards. But there's Donruss. All right. So December 9th right now. December 9th. So that's very similar to what the release schedule was like last year. There's 2022 Mosaic, December 21st, right before the holidays. They're trying to capitalize. So I would anticipate that Prism Optic Select gets released around draft time of next year. I guarantee you that's what Panini's trying to do. Maybe not quite as late as 2021 was released this year, but looking at this, we can anticipate that Prism Optic Select will be released around draft time after the season next year. Very similar to what 2021 is doing. I think they're trying to spread out the product release a little bit more, and maybe they like to schedule a little bit better. Maybe they like releasing those major retail releases next summer after the season ends, because they feel like there will be more attention on it and more focus, because people won't be so much focused on games and playoffs and stuff like that. Let's see what we got over here. Basic white cards for Brady rookies. Think the flagship is the best bang for your buck? I think that Tom Brady rookies, if you're looking at him, yeah. I mean, I touched on it the other day, so I'll just touch on it quickly. But I think when you're looking at Tom Brady rookies, you understand he only has 135 different rookie cards. So we'll pop over to keep a map. You can see that virtually none of his cards are trending up right now, and I would be hesitant to say that's maybe just up over the last transaction. But if we look at total sales, kind of give you an idea of popularity. Of course, the Bowman Chrome and the base Bowman are going to headline like his most popular. The Impact is very popular, a pretty decent pop rate, pop counts. And the Upper Deck Victory, this is another card that practice uniform, but it's a Patriots practice uniform. There's a few different parallels of this card that you'll see. That one's another popular. But understand, Brady's only got 135 different rookie cards. And with Brady's, fame and everything, they become quite rare. So any Brady rookie card that's really graded, and I like anything that says New England Patriots, that says rookie on it. Kind of looking at those kind of assets. Like I was looking at this Paramount the other day because I think that there was one that was at really good value on eBay, and I saw like a graded one, and I'm okay even getting like a 7 or 8 on some of these cards because of how rare they are. But understand that, yeah, I mean, his market is down so much right now because of how bad the Bucks have looked. And also, there was a lot of inflation there. The Brady prices got super high, just kind of like Patrick Mahomes. Like if we were to look at the Patrick Mahomes market, and I talked about this, like, there's only so high that a card could get. You can't justify, you know, in my opinion, you can't justify spending 10 grand on a base Prism card, even if it is Patrick Mahomes. And that's what the market had dictated that card got up to. So you could look at what his Prism is now. Now it's kind of holding strong around 4,500. I mean, it still seems a little high to me, but it's way more realistic than it, being at 8,000, 10,000. If we were to go back to the draft and Super Bowl from the end of the 2020 season, beginning of 2021, this was a $10,000 to $12,000 card. So, and you could see that it's kind of trending up in the past couple of weeks. I mean, Mahomes is playing lights out. The Chiefs are winning games. So, yeah, 4,800 right now. I mean, it's holding very strong, I think. So, obviously, you could see that the market, the hobby, is very healthy overall. But yeah, really anything for great question, Tony. I have not, but I'm not opposed to partnering with somebody who does. So I actually got a couple friends that are big into basketball. And, I may help him, assist him in starting a basketball card quest channel, and then he run it, right? He completely runs it. And then I'll just, kind of promote it for him over here on like the back end of my videos. But I don't follow basketball at all, like at all. I don't watch any of the games. I mean, I catch like the major headlines if it's like something about LeBron or Steph Curry or something like that. But otherwise, I have no clue, no insight. I would be just totally reliant on whatever expert analysis that I hear. And so I don't ever plan to like buy into any basketball cards. I've got a couple like really old Larry Bird card and stuff on my wall, and a couple old Shaq cards and one old Kobe card. But I do potentially want to partner with a guy that's going to start up a basketball card quest channel and kind of take the same data analysis approach that I take, and letting the sold transactions and the data speak for itself, and just present that information to you guys in a very digestible format. So I may partner with a guy and do something like that. No, that's a great question. But he would be doing all the work, and he would be putting out doing all the videos, the editing, because I don't want to sacrifice any of the quantity or the quality that we put out here on the Football Card Quest, as this is my 110% passion, man. David Meyer says, since this was a terrible draft class for the hobby, Panini has to let hype build for players based on their performance, in which luckily there are a lot of rookies playing well. Yeah, so that was interesting. I mean, so yeah, the draft class is the quarterback draft class is terrible for the hobby. And I get what you're saying, because a lot of hobbyists, all they do is invest and collect quarterbacks. So that's a big selling point, right? So I get that from that standpoint. But like you said, there's a lot of skill position rookies that are playing well, that is booing the product. And not to mention, passing scoring is down. Like you saw the headlines last night where they highlighted the scoring differences from Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers from previous years to this year. And it's not just them, it's Justin Herbert, it's other big names around the league. Passing scoring is down. Rushing scoring, rushing production is up. Hey, it's a little bit of a cyclical trend, but also I think that it'll come back to the norm by the end of the season. You got guys like Joe Burrow that are playing incredibly hot right now. Jamar Chase out for the next 4 to 6 weeks. I didn't intend for this to happen whenever I said, hey, buy T. Higgins, because all the focus was on Chase, and then Boyd had the big game. T. Higgins is one of those guys who has a massive ceiling with Burrow. And even some of his splits last year with Jamar Chase on the field were insane, like that historic game he had against Baltimore coming down the stretch, or even the Super Bowl is 2 touchdowns. So T. Higgins always a smart buy anytime he's just not getting the touchdowns, right? Chase that utilization, still had close to 100% route participation. But this is like, okay, wheels up for T. Higgins now for the next 4 to 6 weeks, as Jamar Chase has got a hip issue, lands on IR. Hey, you hate to see it, but it happens, and other guys will step up. So, T. Higgins is the man. T. Higgins is the man. Or you've got, you could look at potentially making some plays on Hayden Hurst. You could look at making some plays on Tyler Boyd. And there you go. Derek Richards got 20% Tyler Boyd lately, baby. And I like Tyler Boyd because he's a 2016 rookie. So you have those really nice prisms, the base prisms, silver out of the box. He's drafted a Bengal. He's got some pretty nice penmanship. So, and Tyler Boyd has got a lot of fans in Cincinnati. Tyler Boyd's got a lot of fans in fantasy football. He's got a lot of fans in Cincinnati. And although they're not the biggest market in the country, and they do have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he's gonna get a lot of run. So I like to have a nice, like, he's a guy that I just want to like kind of have on my wall. And if that's the case, then he also makes a good investment play because other people are thinking the same thing, right? So It's always an interesting guy for me to look at because I like the 2016 product. That's the first year that Optic was made. And I do think you're going to find your best deals in auction. So the first thing that I do, like if I'm picking a player to invest in, I'll first and foremost look at the sold transactions to give myself an idea of what is currently selling. So like for example, I see like an Optic Hollow for $8. I'm like, that's cool. That's a cool card. But I really want to what I want to look at is something at the lower end, like these optic hollows, these more base short print cards, like these colored parallels from the first year of optic. And then I also want to look at something like the optic autograph and kind of see what that's selling for. I'm like, okay, there's clearly definitely some hype because we know that the floor for this card could be quite low. So we know Tyler Boyd is pretty relevant. He's really relevant right now. And if I were to look at like my hype index, for example, let's see where Tyler Boyd ranks on that. Let's see. Let me see here. Okay. I don't know why I was like in full screen mode. Let me pop up over the hype index here and see where Tyler Boyd's. He's pretty close, man. You can see he's right here. He's right under Chris Olave, and that's because this gold bar is all about production over expectations, plus the win-loss record of the team. Plus, I even gave Tyler Boyd a little gray. And that's the Hall of Fame kind of fame score right there. He is a well-known player. He also has several fairly elite seasons under his belt. He's done some really good stuff with the team, so that's why he's got that little gray right there. So, I mean, if you look at this is borderline top 10 for a 2016 athlete. That's very solid. That means he's playing really well, and so you can see the demand translate over to eBay. Origins, and horizontally formatted cards aren't the most popular cards. So I typically I'm like pretty impressed. And this card could have sold for more than that because you see it says best offer accepted. So this is one of those where you have to go and look and type it in over on 130 point because it could have gone for higher than that. Technically, it's one of those where someone started an auction, but also had the make offer button activated. So someone at any point during the auction could have made an offer on that card and purchased it. I mean, it could have sold for $100. So you really have to come over here and look. So I actually sold for $30, right? Pretty solid deal there. So it's not like his cards are going for a lot of money, but at the same time, they are being demanded. And this is how you lead to a significant price increase because once all the supply of those kind of cards sell out at those current price tiers around 30 to 40, next thing you know, they're selling for 50 to 60 if he continues to exceed expectations. Now the playoffs come. He's still exceeding expectations. They sell for 60 to 70. And so that's how that cycle happens. But I like all the buy it now volume I'm seeing around that. And then from there, I would go and kind of hunt what auctions are ending soonest. And you're always going to find your best, especially on a guy like this that's very relevant. You're always going to find your best deals in auction ending soonest. And you may have an auction that's ending at 10:15 a.m. this morning where, most people aren't able to really focus on that auction and be there for the final seconds to actually bid for the win and take that auction down. So, another thing, go look at T. Higgins auction ending soonest. I'm sure there'll be some interesting stuff. Like I scroll right over this. This limits people's upside so bad whenever they start their auction at $80. You're basically saying, hey, I want this to be at the top of the auction ending soonest, but I don't really want to sell it because they're afraid to take what market value is. And they're not patient enough to let it sit and to buy it now. And so, obviously, if you want to force a sale, then you do it a 99-cent auction. Like here's a Donruss canvas T. Higgins. Yeah, it's a base card. Like the canvas in base Donruss is kind of like the optic hollow. You do get a change in the in the rated rookie logo, you get to like this little gold bronze thing. It's got a lower print run than the base Donruss. And PSA 9 though, what? Oh, okay. I thought they put PSA 10. So see, I wouldn't get a PSA 9, even 15, $20. If you're gonna buy a card like that and it's slabbed up, it's gotta be 10. It's gotta be 10 or nothing. 10 or nothing. Here's a card ending at 120 today. Right now, it's at a very attractive price point. But before this Jamar Chase news, I think you could have got this card for close to this right here. Now you've got 32 watchers, 12 bids. 120 is still a good time, but I would anticipate this card probably closes closer to 150. You've got a lot of these more savvy eBayers that are probably going to wait to the final seconds to put their bid in on this card, and so it's going to shoot up there at the last second. But yeah, definitely, obviously increased demand. The other thing I like about the Keep 'em web app, we come back over here. I get questions all the time. What website is this? We call it, or Jarritos build this, who's one of our good friends and Quest peers, and you guys can get access to this through patreon.com/football cards. Check it out. It's in the description below. One of the sections I like on here is the market section. And what he's done with the API here, which API is just like software integration. Basically, he's taken the software development kit from eBay and built this web app. Just like Market Movers or Card Ladder or any of those guys. But this is specifically designed just for graded football cards. We can come over here and look at the sold volume and differentiate between auction and buy it now to give yourself an idea of who are people putting up in auction the most, and then B, who are people buying the most in a buy it now format. So I think right now, look at that, we're leading with Christian McCaffrey, and that's impressive, being a 2017 rookie, and it's all about the trade, man, the trade to the 49ers. So this is exactly what we're talking about here. Here's Christian McCaffrey's week over week graded football card buy it now volume up 1,326%, which is really, really freaking good. And you can see these red spikes. If you guys wondering what those are Mondays. 10/24 Monday, 10/17 Monday, 10/10 Monday. And so there's these large consignment houses and large auction houses are putting up just an insane amount of cards ending on Monday night. And so I like to, you can take two things from that. You can either say, whoa, maybe I should end my auction Monday night if I've got a hyped up player and a very relevant card that I think would be best right now on auction, like a Christian McCaffrey, end that thing on Monday night. Maybe that's why these guys are ending their auctions Monday night, is because they have analytics that say that's when the best demand is happening. And I have also sold quite a few cards on Monday, so I do know that there is very much a reflection time period on Monday from the week prior, the games on the day prior, and people are buying a lot of cards. Also, you could say, well, I don't want to end my auction Monday night because then I'm competing against a bajillion other people. So you could look at it both ways. You could look at it as there's a lot more people on eBay Monday night. That's what their analytics say, and that's why they have so many cards ending. And because there's so many ending and there's so many options, people are on there, and maybe they'll get on my card as well. Or I don't want to compete with all those, so I'm going to look at Thursday night. I'm going to look at Sunday night. I'm going to look at a different night of the week. Definitely nighttime is when you're going to have your best results in an auction. But there's the Christian McCaffrey. And what's nice is then we can click into him and we can see the difference, like price per sale type. We can look at the volume. We can look at the price chart, 2 weeks, a month, and these are combining multiple cards into one, right? So I like this. I like this because you've got the sales, the quest ranking here, the total rookie cards, the trend, the average, the difference between auction and best offer accepted. And it'll give us, the amount, and then also the time in which these sold, which was really important to me because it just helps you understand buying behaviors, right? And so you can see 11:24 p.m., 12:41 a.m. That's after midnight, 12:43 a.m. So what are these? These are probably West Coast people that were Friday, October 21st. So we're going back last Friday. It was right after the trade. These are West Coast people buying these cards at night. And definitely at higher price point, $112. I mean, that was pretty much like 1 year highs for Christian McCaffrey's Prism, just based on performance over expectations. Christian McCaffrey had seen a large dip in his stock over a 52-week period, plus the Panthers stink. So now you can see 32% increase in the Prism. And so you can come and actually type in Christian McCaffrey. You can see the massive percentage increases here across the board for all his cards. So then you can come in here and also look at that. And I love to be able to see the ending time, man. So what's good, Andrew Perry? Let's see what like bro. So it depends on what card you're looking at here, Steve. So I will tell you that if you're looking at, and this is what is very challenging about Joe Burrow, because right, Tom Brady's only got 135 different rookie cards. Joe Burrow's literally got like 4,400. It's somewhere around there. You can go to tcdb.com and look that up. But Trevor Lawrence, he's got probably over 5,000. I think he's got something like 5,200. So you can see the increase in the 1.1 draft picks year over year there. And it is like, right. So some of these you would say maybe they don't have so many Super Bowls baked in. So then it becomes more important to compare him with other guys in the draft class, right? You have the base Prism PSA 10 currently like trending up a little bit, if you ask me, because they average about 185, 52-week lows 86, but the 52-week high was quite high. I don't necessarily think it was 2000. I'd kind of look for a trend there, but it was definitely, if you pop up the 1 year chart and rule out any like crazy anomalies, the actual 52-week high was probably somewhere around 715. And that was right heading into the Super Bowl. So if you look at where it's at now at 178, what's even more important than this, Steve, is to compare him to other guys in the draft class, because you have to compare him to other guys that have the similar amount of different rookie cards and also have similar amount of print runs. So that's why, you have a good idea in 2020, right? You got Herbert, you've got Hurts, you've got Tua. You can compare them to all those guys, and then you can also put in Jordan Love to give yourself an idea of like what the floor is. And maybe that's a guy you want to stash right now because Rodgers isn't playing good, and you know, maybe Jordan Love, does get a start sooner rather than later. But no, it'll be interesting. The Packers play the Bills this Sunday night, so it's the Bills fans are excited. I know the Bills fans are pumped, but you can see a little recent uptick here in Herbert and Burrow over the past day or so, from 173 and 185 up to 182 and 202. Hurts is still hanging out around there. I mean, he had spiked, but what's a beautiful thing about the bye week, guys, and this is why it's so tightly correlated with the performance over expectations. And with the bye week, there's no expectations for a player, and everybody gets totally distracted so quickly. It's so much of a "what have you done for me lately?" And with the Eagles not playing this past week, like people just totally forgot they're 6-0. Their schedule the next 5 weeks is super easy. Uh, they get the Steelers this weekend and the Texans on Thursday Night Football. Like, come on, that's 2 more wins. And I think like the hardest team they play in the next 5 weeks is like the Packers, and they'll probably beat them. I mean, especially with the way the Packers are playing right now. So yeah, I mean, I saw this trend in the purple trend here, and right there, boom, you see Hurts on October 20th had exceeded the value of Burrow. So ultimately, when you're trying to ask like how many Super Bowls are baked in, I don't think that's a good question to answer per se. I'd say that you kind of have just compare the draft class, right? I could say, what is Joe Burrow's Prism compared to Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts? And the fact that Joe Burrow has been to a Super Bowl, he knows like how to get there. Like they know how to get there, even though the chances are going to be low out of the AFC. He still knows how to get there, and they've been there. So I would say that there really isn't a whole lot of Super Bowls baked in at all. There's a lot of performance over expectations still baked into Herbert, but you can see he's cooled off a lot from where he was at $300 to 350 coming into the season. You know, September 90 says every time I invest in someone, they get hurt or suck. Got David Montgomery rated rookie out for 2 weeks. Oh man, so what was the thought process there behind David Montgomery? Just the usage, the utilization? Out for 2 weeks. I would have bought into Khalil Herbert. Bought in auto rookie Mark Andrews because Khalil Herbert's younger. He's shown to be more explosive, big market team. Like I always want to buy into the guy that's younger, more explosive. That's why I'm not buying. Like I have some Leonard Fournette cards, but that's why I'm buying Rachaad White because he's a rookie and he's more explosive. Bought a rookie, Mark Andrews, 2 weeks ago, and look at him the last 2 weeks. The good thing though is what you're telling me. You're buying young players. You just like you if you bought Mark Andrews 2 weeks ago, he's number one tight end in the NFL 2 weeks ago. So you're buying into really hyped players. So you're buying into the hype. I would say try and chase more of the utilization and buy into guys that are young, explosive, great athletes that are getting the utilization, but just haven't quite converted that over into the massive touchdown performances. And then boom, you've got those guys ready to go. Mark Andrews, though, still young, man. He's still number one ranked dynasty tight end because he's got that age and the production profile. And I think the Ravens are going to be scrappy coming down the stretch. They're going to be trying to make a playoff push. They got great coaching, everything else. Don't worry, Mark Andrews will be fine. And he's one of those guys you just kind of hold. The David Montgomery one, yeah, I mean, you're kind of holding him as well, but that was I sold my Brees Halls right before he got injured. And one guy trying to return the card, but I told him no, and so he's he's kind of backed off. So yeah, I see you finally decided to list your Brees Halls. So there's a good tip for you. Like list those cards immediately as soon as you get them in the mail. Part of your process should be go ahead and take those photos and get them listed and buy it now. If you're trying to think of how I should price the cards and you don't have a good comparable in the draft class to say, okay, this is what the top of the draft class is selling for with this card. This is what the bottom looks like, and kind of gauge where you want to price your card. Think about where you bought it. Think about leaving the person that's shopping for that card. Think about leaving them with some financial room for upside. So, for example, if you had so like I did with my Brees Hall XRC, I knew I wasn't going to get 150 to 200 for that card. He's not a quarterback, right? So I knew I wasn't going to get like 150. I saw people with the cards listed for 150, 200. They're still on there listed 150 to 200, right? If you got Kenneth Walker that you bought in at $30 to $40 and you're trying to get 150 to 200, that's an unrealistic expectation. And you think about the guy that's going to buy that card, it's got to be purely collection because they're looking at that thinking, well, at 150 to 200, there's no room for that card to go up anymore. The guy, he's not a quarterback. And so, yeah, there are realistic limitations, but I could easily see that card going from 30 to 50 to 120. And if you're buying it at 120, I still feel like you have the thought that, hey, this card could go up to 200. So you have a much easier time selling it, and you still make a nice profit. And you also left that buyer with room to grow in the card. And I think if I would have sold that card for 150, 200, probably this buyer would have been giving me a lot harder time about returning it, just based on the timing of the injury and everything. Bobby's comment to September said, "Tell me what you're buying next, so I know not to get them." Oh, that's funny. Derek's on the wake and bake. Case hit Ken. Case hit Ken, man. We need some of that luck, man. Asking for a friend. I'm sitting on approximately 1 million base cards. I have no idea what to do with. What's the best thing to do to just get them off? Asking for a friend. Case hit Ken. Yeah, okay. Asking for a friend. Case hit Ken. I actually had this card from this question from Ross as well. Got cards on the brain, as you guys well know. Make sure you hit that like button if you got cards on the brain too. So Ross actually asked the same question. He was like, how do you market lower end, lower hype base cards? I would say the best way to do this, and you've got so many, list this big, massive lot on Facebook Marketplace or a local marketplace and sell it to a guy for cash. Make a cash deal, right? You pull up to a parking lot, and shout out to Michael Ham, Sports Card Fishing Hobbyist, because he's very good about making these deals in person. But at the same time, he's a guy who's very experienced at going through massive boxes of cards. I made a deal like that with him, and these were older junk wax football cards, and some that were a little bit before junk wax, but that were just super like dusty. And when I got in, like just ton of base cards, and I tried to get the ones that I thought were all valued over like 20, 30 bucks, and the rest of them I was like, you know what? I'm not listing these individually. I'm not listing these as lots on eBay. The shipping is going to be crazy. People are not looking for this on eBay for the most part, and you're just going to have a really hard time moving it. The fees are going to just eat up any type of profits you would get on eBay. You got to sell these in person. Put them on Facebook Marketplace, and the picture is like, there's a lot of people out there that love to scavenge and look for local massive collections in the hopes that there could be some gems in that box, right? And so when you show up and you open the trunk and you've got all these boxes of cards sitting there, and after about give them like 5-10 minutes to go through the cards, and then you're like, I gotta go, man. So if you could do 150 for this lot, I'll go ahead and give it to you now. I think you may be able to find something in there. And they at that point they make their decision on whether they're going to buy the lot from you or not. And a lot of times, I think you can close a cash transaction right there in person, because at that point, you've taken the time. They've met up with you. They've got the money in their pocket. They do. It's a lot easier to get it out. And then you do a cash transaction. They load it up in their trunk and they're gone. And then boom, you're done. And you're done. And that's the easiest thing, man. You meet up at a Lowe's parking lot like I did with Mike Ham. But don't give them an hour to go through all those boxes of cards. No, like, I got stuff to do. You got an appointment. You got something. Whatever it is. That's it, man. That's it. And I think that's the best way to do it. That's the best way to do it. And you'll be able to sell it, maybe get a couple $100. Give them 10 minutes. I got to go. You make a decision. Tell you what, I'll do 150 for the whole lot. Or, have a price in your head of what you feel like you feel justified in getting that back. And think about it. The downside is you could have got nothing. You could be handing them out with Halloween, treats. Hand out some base football cards to kids on Halloween, right? I mean, hey, it's not a bad idea. Or go up to your local Boys and Girls Club and donate them to the kids that are less fortunate. So that's also an idea. The good news is, September, you're buying into young players that are going to have future hype spikes, right? You're buying into young players. There you go. Derek nailed it right here. Start buying the injured guys that are coming back. That's not a bad thought either, especially young guys. And it's all about, if you're doing this like with Matt Ryan, for example, right now, not a good idea. Guys that are down and out, or even like, I know Derek mentioned he's buying Matt Stafford in Dynasty, and maybe Matt Stafford comes alive second half of the season, but he's another guy where I look at like these older guys, and I would say that about Brady and Rodgers too, but those guys are locks for the Hall of Fame, some of the best quarterbacks that have ever played. So there's a little bit of difference there. There you go. Woodband. It's a cool name. Andrew Perry said, have your cards listed. Only Kadarius I had listed got. Buy it now at ask price yesterday. ship same day to shorten their return clock. Exactly, man. Shorten that return clock. I also sold another lot yesterday. Shipped out same day. And if you don't ship it out the same day, print that shipping label immediately. So you generate the shipping label, and then maybe you can't drop it off till the next day, but at least it's shown on eBay. They've got a tracking number. It shows shipped. You're getting your deposit in the next couple days. Sold my Leaf out of 5 haul for 99 1 week before I got. Yeah, I mean, it's just good process. Good process, Woodband. It's always good process to list immediately. That's why people ask me, and that's where cards are different, right? You're not selling Brees Hall. You weren't selling Brees Hall in Dynasty Fantasy before he got hurt, because that's how good he looked of a Dynasty Fantasy asset or even a season-long fantasy asset. And you're not selling him now that he is hurt. In season-long, there's nothing to do but drop him. In Dynasty, you have stash him on your bench. You're still not trading him. Heck no, man. You in a rookie Dynasty draft this past year, you spent a 1.1 pick on Brees Hall. In a startup draft, you still spent probably a top 3rd or 4th round pick on the guy. So you're not trading him. You're stashing him. He's going to be incredibly hyped up. The utilization, everything was on, the writing was on the wall for him to be a massive superstar. So, and the Jets market size is massive. He'll be hyped up again next year. Man, so Bobby Deer's trying to, he's cutting up over here in the comments. Yeah, I would have, but see, like Montgomery was kind of balling. He was getting a high utilization, but the Chicago Bears weren't winning games until they just beat the Patriots, right? I mean, they were sticking in games pretty close. So I'm really like at that point, if you want a guy's cards to jump up in value, you got to target the younger, the younger the better, the more explosive the better, and they really have to be like sticking out from the losing team that's holding them down. So a guy that I'm like looking at now is potentially Travis Etienne on the Jacksonville Jaguars has this opportunity because he is very much a rookie. So like instead of buying David Montgomery, you could have been buying Travis Etienne at the same time while his utilization, his snap share, his carry share was going up, but he just hadn't quite converted the touchdowns until this past week. And he could have had a 30 plus. Like he could have been in my top 10 this past week if the Jags had won and he had converted that one touchdown he fumbled. But that's a perfect situation where you would have been buying into the utilization trending in the right direction versus buying into a guy that's, yeah, maybe he's on a big market team, but he's a couple years older and the team is losing as well. Plus, there's a guy that's nipping at his heels on the depth chart that looks just as explosive, if not more explosive, plus a year younger. So I like it. I think it's cool to make Halloween packs, man. I think it's really cool. My daughter got some Pokemon Halloween cards at the grocery store yesterday, and I think it's cool, man. If you can make some little Halloween packs for kids, man, they love getting cards. Yeah, it's good. Glad to have you here, September 90. Basic white cards. What's your opinion on people sending their damaged, flawed cards to people like DC Sports purposefully so don't have to disclose problems? Many I see doing it as of late. I mean, if you intentionally know it's got some serious flaws and you're sending it to them, I mean, that is unethical. I mean, there's no way around that. I mean, if you're knowingly sending a card to somebody that has a major flaw and you don't, I guess, tell them about it or you don't document it somewhere, I mean, that there is a level of unethical there. I mean, just kind of giving yourself bad karma. Like, I mean, ultimately, right? I mean, raw cards, there's so many variances in raw cards. There could be little tiny dimples that one person could see that the next person The card looks like a 10, So there's a lot of variances in conditions of raw cards, a little tiny dings and nicks and stuff like that. But if it's something crazy, I would imagine that DC Sports pictures are gonna kind of show that. And I know they don't take pictures of the card out of the top loader and the penny sleeve. They just lean it up against a stack of slabs because they're listing like a bajillion auctions a week and let it rip, And so I think a lot of times you'll see DC Sports 87 cards go undervalued in auction, and they make interesting targets, but you know yeah, it's probably only a matter of time. I think if DC got enough complaints and enough negative feedback that they absolutely would start, hey, got to put something in the description of these listings that we notice have obvious flaws, right? Only a matter of time DC does. So what's going on, Toa? DC does disclose them or sends them back. People will return them. Yeah, if they get enough returns. Derek says maybe the Jets will draft a decent quarterback by then. You know what's interesting? Big weekend for college football, guys. So, right, everybody knows about Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, right? Everybody knows about these guys, but there's two guys that are actually, let me see. There's actually two guys that are really making a name for themselves, and that's Kentucky's Will Levy's or Levi's, like the jeans, plus Hinton Hooker on Tennessee. So, two sources from PFF, the PFF knows from the college football arena, indicate, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the chat. Derek, who's big college football fan, follows all the games and everything. Will Levis out of Kentucky is likely a top 10 pick at this point for next year's draft. So if you're looking at like flawless collegiates coming out soon, immaculate collegiates out now, National Treasures collegiate, these are nice cards, guys, and these cards are going to be the premier cards for guys like Will Levis, Hendon Hooker, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. I still think you could probably find some pretty sweet deals, right? I'm already seeing increased demand on guys like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. But if you look a little bit further and look at a guy like Will Levis, who's actually playing, right? Kentucky's ranked 19th right now. They're playing number 3 Tennessee this weekend. This is big time. This is big time because these games are having massive implications, and this guy could end up as a top 10. Two other sources believe Tennessee's Hendon Hooker could sneak into the first round, though another source was less confident. So Hooker is going to be 25 years old in January and is sixth amongst FBS quarterbacks with a 90.6 overall PFF grade. Very interesting. One other QB to watch outside of the first round is Purdue's Aiden O'Connell, who garnered a Jimmy Garoppolo player comparison. So nothing spectacular there. It's the big time athletes that are going to be super hyped up from the quarterback standpoint is Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Will Levis, and maybe Hendon Hooker. So that's some interesting intel for you guys there. Look at all these names Derek's throwing out in the chat. Next draft class is going to be loaded. So target those immaculates, those flawless, those national treasures, collegiate cards now. Those are the premium brands. Don't just, unless it's autographed with the refractor finish, stay away from Bowman U. It's not getting the same level of demand and hype that these other major Panini brands are getting. And then you also have leafed stuff out there as well. And I would say if it's autographed, if it's super rare, yeah, it's relevant. But otherwise, I'm going to avoid all like just the colored parallels, especially if it's non-serial numbered. I don't ever really see those getting more than $10, $20 top. So maybe if you can find one for $1 or $2. So like I always say, like reverse engineer that. If you can find one for like $1 or $2, then yeah, go for it. Cody Lancaster. What's going on, man? Do you still think Jalen Hurts is a buy, hold until playoff and kind of flip kind of card? Yeah. No, I don't. Because we just did the chart comparison on the base Prism PSA 10. I'm still finding some more of those base short print cards. Not talking just like raw base optic. Those cards we saw get up to a peak for like Joe Burrow and Herbert, close to $100 on the base raw optic, the base raw Prism. I don't anticipate that to happen for Jalen Hurts. It's because there was so much supply the past couple years from the 2020 products, and Jalen Hurts was a clear, lower end quarterback in terms of hype up until just recently, right? Up until, the end of last season and now this season. But the Eagles, realistically, they could potentially go undefeated. They could potentially go into the playoffs undefeated. And sure, maybe they lose in the playoffs. Maybe they don't make it very far. But at that point, and they're an undefeated team heading into the playoffs, his values are going to be a lot higher than what they are at now. So just comparing those to Burrow and Herbert, I think there is definitely room to grow. So I still think that if you target him in auction, I was just talking about, because of the bye week, there was a small little dip in some of his cards, and then hold them. I mean, they may continue to appreciate now into the playoffs. So yeah, I like that play a lot. Bo Nix, Stetson Bennett, Anthony Richardson. Good class, says Derek Richard. Grayson McCall, Penix Jr., Derek Richard gets the two little arrows up for Penix Jr., I think. Phil J at BC. Nice, man. Dude. Oh, VA. Sorry. Yeah, I did start this from the beginning of the stream. Pat Freiermuth is very interesting. He's clearly a favorite target of Kenny Pickett. Tough matchup this week against Philadelphia, right? So most likely a loss there. So I'd say, like, great example, VA, of a second-year player that I really like from a dynasty tight end perspective. This guy's a good receiver. What he's done at this young of an age is very good from a tight end standpoint. Also, Pickett has a clear chemistry and connection with Freiermuth, so I like it. But at the same time, I'm not overpaying for any of these cards because the Steelers are not really going anywhere this year, right? I mean, this is overall a lost season for the Steelers, and Freiermuth is one of those guys that, yeah, I'm going to target him in auction, specifically auction. I'm going to target like rookie ticket autos, rare cards. Like if it's a base optic rookie ticket auto and it ends for under $20, then I feel good about it. I feel that you could potentially find like an optic contenders rookie ticket auto for around $10 to $15, like out the door in auction. So target, maybe you save 2021 Pat Freiermuth auto, rookie auto as a search. You save that. And every Monday, when you know that there's just like thousands of auctions ending, that's when you go and you look through and see if there's anything good. And you may be able to find something ending in the morning on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, all of a sudden, like I did with the Kadarius Tony a couple months ago, you can find something that's gold, numbered out of 10. Potentially get that for like $30, $40. And it's just like, boom, home run. You just hit the home run to stash that card, and you're still listing it. Like, dude, you get that card, you list it for 150, and you put it on your wall, And if someone ever wants to buy it, because the Steelers fan base is massive, like that's the one differentiating factor. The Pittsburgh Steelers fan base is massive, guys. Look at what they do for the values of any of their premium starter. Like the values of George Pickens still are crazy, compared to the overall team scenario. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Let's go, Toa. I think either one. So when I looked at the trend for where to go with my with the Keep 'em web app. So let's see. Either one. So I would look at the pop. Let's look at the pop real quick on both of these before I got to get out of here. I love this current trend. See what I'm talking about? Auction ended last night at 9:48 p.m. while another game was going on for 107.50. That was a smash steal buy because They're just selling and buy it now for, if we sort over here, 145, Monday, October 24th, 150, 140, 140, 140. So 100 in auction, easy win there. Um, this PSA 10 pop has 1700. Prism and Optic are very neck and neck. They're both very liquid, very popular. You can see you can get the Optic for slightly lower, but it has a much lower population count on the card. I like them both, man. And it all depends, like, what can I find in auction, right? So, heck yeah, I'm going to jump. There's another Optic PSA 10, 60, excuse me, $69 last night, 1048. Great buy, especially when you see that just 1 minute later, there was a buy it now, sell for 105, 105. So you can see the variance in there. There's instant profit there. And so we look at the buy it nows. I mean, that's 104, 89, 110, 125. And, you know, this is the impulsive and instant gratification nature of a lot of hobbyists. So there you go. 145, Monday, October 17th. And so seeing that card end for 69 in auction is just absolute steal. All three of these this week were all steals that are going to lead to instant profit for somebody. So yeah, that's the kind of buy potential that you've got in Jalen Hurts right now. That's why I'll continue to beat the drum for him, and I continue to buy his cards myself, even at like close to market value. Like I think I may have one in the mail over here that I got to open up later today. So can you say it again, Joseph? Because I've lost it, brother. I've lost it, man. It was way up in the chat. There's a lot of comments, man. Oh, here we go. I think it's this one. Found it. All right. How would you comp low serial or SSP cards that do not have any comps within 90 or ever? A great question, because this can be quite challenging. So what you got to do is just the best you can, but I'd say the best thing is type in that card. So SSP, maybe it's a Kaboom, maybe it's a Flawless out of 25, maybe it's a National Treasures out of 49. Type in that card specifically, the set and the year, and see what's selling, right? Try and do this with the draft class. I mean, try and find other sold items from that set in general to give yourself an idea of what they're selling for. That's the best way to do it. And if you can't find that, then you've got to look at like years and sets around that and say, okay, where is this player at on the hype index compared to the player that I actually am looking to buy? And what's the difference in terms of variety? So if you're looking at a 2020 card and then you're like, I can't find any 2020 cards, I've got a 2017 card here, that's not even close in terms of print run and variety from 2017 to 2020. There's a big jump there, right? But if you're doing it from 2020 to 2019 or 2020 to 2021, a lot more similarities there in terms of variety. And 2019 to 2020 is probably still a pretty big jump. Like 2020, they took a big jump. But between 2020 and 2021, it's pretty similar. So you have that going, and that's basically how you do it. You got to just look up the set in general and find any card that you can from that set that's similar in the design, or maybe it's a specific insert that you can find that's sold recently, and then ask yourself, where is that player at on the hype index compared to the one you're looking at? And if there's a big disparity there, maybe say, okay, this is the floor for this card. Now this card is similar. Like you found another SSP that's similar, that's for a player that's similar to yours that you're looking at. And now all of a sudden, okay, you can kind of get an idea that there's a range, right? There's a range for these certain cards from any given set. And you start to get an idea of where they go at. Like there's a range for any given card, for any given set, for any given player. And then there's, so you start, as you look through more and more sold items, you start to get an idea of kind of the range that this card would go at. So you can say, okay, this is where I could buy this at. This is realistically what kind of like what the ceiling could look like. So kind of where I should list it at. and then you'll kind of just adjust from there based on the results that you get. Awesome. Yeah, guys. Fun stream this morning. Real quick before I get out of here, because I'm constantly hunting um the best DFS stacks, right? I'm constantly hunting the best DFS stacks, the best parlay stacks. So Underdog Fantasy, we are affiliated with them. They do a lot of DFS, draft style DFS, which is fun. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get on a stream this weekend, but I'll definitely be sharing my slips and my picks in the Discord server, because you can't buy a card this weekend and get it before Sunday. You're better off trying to make some money in the DFS landscape and on Underdog through pick'ems or just on DraftKings, and then turn around and maybe make some plays during the week. So always looking to parlay my knowledge and diversify my knowledge for the NFL on these various platforms. So, one stack that I'm looking at this weekend is Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, because I think that they are projected pretty high this weekend. I'm gonna pull up my matchups. Yeah, that Minnesota. That's right. They're playing at Minnesota this weekend. Love that game scenario. I think that potential game has potential to get pretty crazy. Also, I think Byron Murphy for the Cardinals is going to miss this game. He's like their best corner on defense. So you got that going for it. The line has moved up, so it's opened at 48 over under. It's now currently at 49. You also have the Dolphins and Lions at a 51.5, so that's another very high game total. The Raiders at Saints, I'm definitely going to be attacking the Raiders at Saints. I think the Raiders actually come away with the win here. I like this matchup for Devontae Adams to finally get right. The Saints are down probably Marshawn Lattimore, and he missed last week, and I think he's going to miss again this week. Plus, now they're down Bradley Roby, so they have a very weakened secondary. And I think the Raiders get right here against the Saints in New Orleans. But you can definitely turn that around and say, okay, I'm going to stack Andy Dalton, because the Raiders have a very weak secondary as well. Stack Andy Dalton with the Saints pass catchers. So look at Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara. So the only line we have up right now for Chris Olave is 13.85 fantasy points. We have 1.5 passing touchdowns for Andy Dalton. They're going to release more lines as the game gets closer. So that's the lines there. I want to wait till they release more lines. So here's a nice line on Derek Carr and Josh Jacobs. So I do want to take advantage of these early lines, but at the same time, I want to paint a full game environment, and I want to go for a 3-leg parlay, right? So typically here, what I'm going to do is, I'm not opposed to the passing yards. There's 254 passing yards. He's come pretty close to it. It's going to be tough, but I think he could definitely go over that. The 4.5 rushing yards. If anything, I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of looking at the 1.5 touchdowns, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait on these right now. Yeah, I'm not seeing the lines that I really like for that game specifically. Let's see what other. We have the London game this week, Denver at Jacksonville. I think Russell Wilson's coming back. Heard he was doing like exercises on the airplane over there while all the other players were sleeping. I like the 1.5 Brandon McManus field goals. This Greg Dulcich line is interesting. He's kind of built some nice chemistry lately. Right before Russ got injured, missed last week. Cortland Sutton, always a favorite target, but Jacksonville's defense has been playing pretty solid. I'm about to study these lines some more. I'll hit you guys up in the Discord. I'll post up what I find, because I also want to go and look at the odds I got to go and study the odds and look at what the best plays are and stuff, and go from there. Sell, baby. Cards in the attic, hold or sell Daniel Jones. Sell him. Well, I would hold him and or sell. See, thing up, his values are up very nicely right now, right? But he's still much lower than Kyler Murray. Now you can ask yourself, is he ever going to get up as high as Kyler Murray? Chances are no, but you've got a 32% increase in the base Prism PSA 10 already. So if I were to look and just sort this by what's trending up the most, I can see like some of his other cards, there's 40% increases on some other cards. But the prices are still pretty low. So I think if you can, you're selling them. Otherwise, you just want to hold. So, maybe you've got it in a buy it now. So in that case, maybe you've got it listed for like $85. And that would be kind of strategy. I would say that if you're selling them in auction, it's not going to be the way to go. Look at the auction ended 52. So the auctions and the buy it nows are about neck and neck because he is very relevant. He's got some hype right now. And maybe you bought in here. So like, where did you buy in the card? Did you buy it for $20 and you selling it for $50? Nice little profit, but it still has a lot more room for upside. So has a lot more room for upside. For whatever reason, you could even see Daniel Jones some hype throughout the playoffs and heading into the draft hype cycle there, the free agency hype cycle. So yeah, I would say hold, man. Hold, because they declined his 5th-year option. Daniel Jones is going to be an interesting either contract extension or new team. But he's making a really good case for himself right now. 6-1, the Giants. So sad. Just traded a week ago for Brees Hall. Oh man, that's terrible timing. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. I feel terrible for you. I've got some Brees Hall. Just got to hold him now. Jamar Chase. He'll be back before the end of the season, though. Jamar Chase. So maybe he comes back just in time for the fantasy playoffs. My brother Josh, appreciate you, man. Appreciate. Yeah, I do. I need to catch up with you, Josh. I want to get that basketball card quest. Josh might spearhead the basketball card quest. I gotta talk to him and help him get that up and running, man. So I will catch up with you guys later. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you in the Discord or on the next stream. Peace.